Good evening, good evening, good evening. It's Brendan. Welcome to the show. I'm here to continue to talk about the playoffs. We have a couple of eliminations. Very excited. My team got eliminated. But before I get into all of that, I am very disgusted. I want you guys to just take a look at something with me, and I'll definitely speak on it in a little bit.
We've got
Take a
breaking
look.
news out of the NBA. The Memphis Grizzlies have suspended Ja Morant from all team activities after he appeared to, once again, display a gun in a video posted on Instagram. 2 months ago, Morant was suspended for 8 games for conduct detrimental to the league after brandishing a gun on
Man.
social media. He underwent counseling during that first suspension. Here's a statement from the Grizzlies. Quote, "We are aware of the social media video involving Ja Morant. He is suspended from all team activities pending league review. We have no further comment at this time."
No, when we as fans we in the mood to discuss what has happened, the surprises of the league, of the playoffs thus far, you know, people like myself who was hoping that Golden State go all the way, people who counted New York in, not out, and they thought that they would have done well and eliminated Miami. All these things didn't happen. And then lo and behold, yesterday, as you saw the report, Jamarant once again caught live, allegedly on Instagram Live, with a gun. Now, just a couple months ago, Morant, after some partying in Denver, I believe it was caught with a gun or seen with a gun on live, and he got a minimum 8 game suspension. He went to a therapist. He sat down with Jalen Rose and described how he, needs to make a change, and he had to do some reflections and stuff like that. And then here we are again, not even 6 months later. This suspension literally took place in March. We are in May. That's just a couple months, guys. Now, how disappointing do you have to be as a fan in Jamarant for not being able to recognize the opportunity that he has? Because, quite frankly, this is nonsense. This is someone that is not thinking. This is someone who believes that he has to keep the hood vibe around him, and that it's simply not the case in a world where people work so hard to try and get out of a certain type of situation, and not even to be at the level where he's at, where you're making millions of dollars. People are just glad to get out of the hood, so to speak, and move to the suburbs where gunshots and killing and crime on the whole is not so prevalent. You can't get a second chance, at least with the NBA. Fans, players, they will give you a blight because, and a blight, well, a chance, because we understand you're 23. We understand you don't understand the goal. And even if you understand the goal, you have a certain type of hesitancy within you to leave that type of lifestyle behind. I don't know if you think it empowers you, or it makes you, it makes you tough, seeing letting people know that you have access to firearms, and it doesn't. All you doing is train away your life, train away the opportunities. Because even if you get a 25-game suspension, a 50-game suspension, or you didn't play for the whole of 2023 to 24, What you definitely will lose is your endorsements, and endorsements are what adds to your wealth. And I'm sure you want to have kids if you don't have already. And when those kids have kids, you want them to sustain the lifestyle that you, because of your abilities, were able to provide for them. Highly disappointing. But not to tarnish the vibe too much. Let's get into it. I hope Ja. I don't want to say learn the lesson because she should have learned the lesson the first time. But I hope that this time, with what he's about to lose, he understands the seriousness and that the NBA means business. With that said, I want to speak about the game between the Celtics and the Sixers. I want to speak about the game between the Lakers and Golden State. One one game, the result was expected, which is the Celtics game, especially when you saw how the game started. But even beyond that, if we go back to game six, how Jason Tatum played is the definition of a true superstar. Jason Tatum is a superstar in the NBA. Why? In game six, Jason shot 1 for 13 in the first half. Now, if you remember my past um, comments on so called superstars in the league, there are stars who, when they are off, that's it. If they aren't able to get their first couple of shots to go down, the entire game diminishes, and quite frankly, some of them are no longer of value to the team at that moment. And in the playoffs, we can't afford to have that. So we see what happened with Philadelphia with James Harden. 1 minute he's up, 1 minute he's down, 1 minute he's up, 1 minute he's down. Game 7, where a superstar, if you call yourself a superstar, if you believe that you are the man, game 7 in any sport is where you show what you could do. And James was terrible. There isn't any way to hide that. That was one of the worst performances for a quote unquote superstar that we've ever seen. The thing is, it's not even the first time. So James, to me, what he has proven to me is that he is a very good basketball player, but he's not a superstar. To me, a superstar is not someone who just has the skills and the physical ability to make their team reach where they want them to reach. A superstar is a player that can rise above mentally and do what he needs to do to get his team to win. James and even Joel, I'll talk about Joel in a bit, but James has a thing where he's not driving anymore unless he gets a clear path to the basket. And if his jump shot is off, it's over. His points are gone. So what we saw in game 7 was even worse than that because James was dribbling the ball off his foot. I mean, the turnovers was just ridiculous. It really looked like someone who was just learning how to play the game. And because he has the ball in his hands so much, it was very telling that they were not going to be victorious in that game. Joel Embiid just won the MVP. You should be still flying high on that. It was an emotional moment for you. It felt good. Family was in the stands, hug up the baby, tears. And yet, what we saw was flashes of brilliance until the game that really counted and the game that really mattered. Do you know how disappointing that is? Especially to be the MVP of the league, the thing that you wanted so badly. Not only is it disappointing, and I hope it's disappointing to you as an individual, but game 7 is supposed to be a game of pride for any player in any sport. because it's a win or go home situation. And that was some of the most deplorable basketball I've ever seen. Terrible. Terrible. What was that? When we switched to Boston, we see in game six, horrible game for Jason Tatum in the first half. Even the third quarter, he still wasn't showing that, this is the Jason Tatum that we know. And then all of a sudden, in the fourth quarter, he caught fire. You know why he caught fire? Because he didn't think of the 13 plus field goals or the 12 field goals that he missed. He didn't think of that first 3 quarters. He knows his ability and he allowed his mental capability to take him where he needed to go. And this is the epitome of a superstar. And what happened? The momentum carried over to game 7. 51 points later, he eliminated Philadelphia in the most embarrassing way. I mean, come on. Chalk and cheese in comparison. Joel, what I didn't like about Joel is that even though he was getting the ball, he resorted to trying these fadeaway shots on Al Horford. Al Horford is about 36 years old, guys. 36 or somewhere thereabout. Joel Embiid has about at least 2 or 3 inches on Al Horford. Horford blocked his shots to my memory at least twice. What is that? You are taller than this guy. You are in your prime. You can't body Al Horford and put up a mini hook, back him down to where it's just a nice, easy, simple layup. Why are you trying fadeaways over Al? And even if you are telling yourself you're doing it because you have the height advantage, he proved that he was up to the challenge. And it was disappointing to see him over and over playing the kind of defense that he's playing on a guy who just won the MVP. It was really horrible to watch. And I can imagine how Philadelphia fans were feeling looking at this game play out live in front of them. They came in, they would have gone, they would have been home, they would have been to the game. Some who went to the game, I think the game some was in Boston, I believe, with such excitement and exuberance, and they couldn't wait to see a close game. People doesn't mind losing, but it's how you lose that is define what type of athlete you are, where your mental is. And game 7, so Philly, unfortunately, Philly might get Doc Rivers fired when it's clearly not his fault. Philly might have to see what they can do to get rid of James Harden because he's a player that demands the money that he's being paid demands that he touches the ball a lot. But his play is not showing that he deserves to have the ball that much. So you may have to get rid of James and see if you can get somebody who is, I don't want to say a shooter because shooters, I mean, as great as shooters are, the James Harden in Houston that could have penetrate would have made a big difference if he was anywhere near close to that James Harden. Disgusting, terrible. Lakers, Golden State. Unfortunately, Steph. What was disappointing about that game is that Steph. You could see Steph is the only one that was mentally able to bring his game and do what he needed to do to make it competitive. The problem was no one else bought their game. And I thought I was going to come here and talk about what everybody was talking about. Jordan Poole, you know, his body language, his inability to shoot, where his shot going all of a sudden, who knows. Jordan has shown brilliance for the whole, since about, so far, for the last 2 or 3 years. That's why he was included in the starting lineup. He has shown moments of brilliance where he deserves to be where he is. He finally got a bag. I think he's one of the players who's making over 100 plus million over a certain amount of years. don't know what happened. I don't want to talk about the alleged $500,000 date with a singer because neither one of them has confirmed the date. And two, it's kind of odd for me personally. It's kind of weird that a report could put a financial amount on a date. Is it that everywhere they went on this date, somebody reported the amount that was spent? So they went to the restaurant and they spent $1,200. Did someone make a note of that? And then now did someone make a note of when they went to have fun and wherever they went and that cost X amount? Was someone at the car dealership where they claim he bought a Bentley or some expensive vehicle? So how did they come up? How, if you are having a date and you are going to different places on this date, even if it's a date where, even if it's dates where we hanging out for the entire weekend, who's recording his financial spending or his spending? So I didn't want to talk about that. But nevertheless, Jordan Poole was nowhere near where he was. And then there's clips of him disregarding Draymond Green when he's talking to him. You know, Steph had to pull him up and let him know, hey, relax. Listen to what the brother is saying to you. And I've heard reports from on ESPN and other sports networks that they think that when he got the bag, nobody could talk to him, as we just say in Trinidad. Nobody can talk to me. I'm making my money, so you can't tell me nothing. Guess what? The money is one aspect. If you're playing the fool on this team, guarantee you that the veterans could talk to you at any time. It's like your parents. They can speak to you at any time and pull you up. Remember that. Alright? So, the Lakers did what they have to do. AD played his game. Vanderbilt. I mean, they just. And the thing is, I knew that if it reached to game 7, outside of how Jordan was playing and all of that, the reason why I was scared was because your season doesn't lie. This season, the Golden State Warriors had an atrocious record on the road. They couldn't win squat. Why would that change now? Now, granted, experience has a lot to do with it. But if your game is off, your game is off. There's no such thing as just turning it on. You could turn on defense, maybe. You could even turn on offense to a point. But once again, in all sports, your mental is most important. And once that's gone, what has ended up happening? And the thing is with Steph is so good that what has ended up happening with Steph is that when he realizes that everybody else is off, he tries to do it himself. And no one, not even the greatest player of all time, MJ couldn't do it on his own. He needed help. He needed assistance because there will be times where Steph will score 32 points, 35 points. His team will still lose if you don't have at least a couple others who could be up there in the 18 to 25 to 26 range. If I could get 32 from Steph, I could get 29 from Clay. I could get 10 points from Draymond. I could get 21 from Jordan Poole. I could get 15 from Andrew Wiggins. We'll be competitive. But I cannot get 45 from Steph, 9 from Clay, 3 from Draymond, 7 from Andrew, 2 from Kevin Looney, and think that you're going to win a game. Never happen. Never happen. So, we getting ready for game 1. I think game 1 is Tuesday between the Lakers and the Denver Nuggets. And I think what's the next team? Miami and the Celtics. We look forward to both those games. As a matter of fact, let me just check because I know. Let me just double check for you guys so that I could give you all the information in terms of the Eastern Conference. I know for sure the Western is tomorrow. Game 1 is Wednesday for the Heat and the Celtics. a number 2 seed versus a number 8. So if Miami is able to beat out the Celtics and make it to the finals, they would have continued to create history. But personally, I don't think they could beat the Celtics. So, guys, it's a great talking to you. We can't wait for those games to start tomorrow and Wednesday. I'll give you all my take on those games as well. And I can't wait to see you guys. Leave a comment. Remember to comment, subscribe, like. Let me know what it is, what your opinions are on the playoff so far. And again, can't wait to see how these two conference finals play out. Uh, Again, it's your boy Bruzo, Brendan, talking about the NBA playoff as it happens. See you guys. Take care.